Okay, in my previous video, I showed how I improved on the bucket feeder for open feeding for honeybees, and there was someone that expressed interest in doing the modification I did, and I'm gonna kind of show how I did it. First off, look, this is the standard bucket feeder. This is just an ordinary plain bucket I got at the hardware store. And this is the area here that the bees typically are the troughs that the bees feed in with the sugar syrup. Okay. And what you have here is about 3 inches of or actually about 3 inches. So 3 inches of fluid that they cannot get to once they drain the top from here, or however much you fill it. There's this much down on the bottom that you can't use, and the bees still smell it in there, and they're fighting. And what I've discovered is they fight so much that some of them end up getting killed down there, and they can't get access to any more of the feed. And if you look, here's the holes. You can see them. See the holes? In every one of those squares, there's a hole. From a small drill bit, and I wish I could even tell you what size it is. I just used the smallest size that I had. But if you look, let's see, upside down. Yeah, those holes go through here. They're in the bottom. They're right in here. I'm sorry, this isn't focusing, but there's a hole in each one of these except for this one where the handle is. Otherwise, it would leak all over. Okay. So these are the lids. Now this is the typical lid. Now notice the difference between these two lids. This one tears. I've discovered that with this particular lid, pulling it on and off, it gets torn right here. Very easily it gets torn. This lid, in comparison, does not do that. Notice how much more reinforced this lid is than this one. Now this one is kind of stained. This is stained from some kind of soy sauce that Panda Express uses. I garbage picked these buckets. But see, the thing is, both of these lids have got this here, and you cannot make this. As the lid is, you cannot make this into a proper trough because all the fluid will leak out here. So what's got to be done is these things have to be siliconed to seal them. So I'm going to run some silicone across that. And then what I'm going to do also is I am going to drill a hole in here, and here, and here, and here, because this area pinches the rim of the bucket. So you need to be able, for the fluid that's going to be in here once this thing is sealed on the bucket, the fluid's got to get in this trough. So I'm going to put this on pause, and I'm going to drill some holes, and we'll show how that works. Now you got to forgive me for doing this kind of one-handed here. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to take this bit here. It's a little larger than these two. And what we want to do is we want to drill a hole. We want to drill a hole as close to the top of this as possible. Okay? So that's what we're going to do. got our hole. See our hole right here? Now I'm going to drill 3 or 4 more of those holes on bucket. And what we're going to do is put that on here. The idea is, so when you seal this bucket, this is going to be the trough that the bees feed through. Once it's all prepared and sealed and ready to go. So I'm going to put this on pause again, and then I'm going to pick up once I get this completed. Okay. Well, what I've done is I've drilled my holes in the bucket. If you can see, I've got holes here. They're on the very rim of the bucket practically. Now, this is what I've discovered, that you look for a seam on the bucket. Sort of a seam. You'll see, if you look real close right there, you'll see a line. And what you want to do is you want to put the hole as close to that line, to the rim, as you can. So we have a hole here and a hole here. See if the holes, they're close to the rim. There's one here, one here. And if you look, see the seam, and there's a hole right there. You want to get it right to the rim. Now let's go back to your lid. Forgive me for the mess. There's a hole here in the lid. There's a hole here, hole here, hole here. Okay. Now remember, your bucket fits in between these. Now here are the gaps. Now I ran a bead of silicone between all of them. You got to do that, otherwise the fluid will leak out. And this is going to be hard for me to show, but what I do, I learned this trick a long time ago when I used to make my own fish tanks. If you wet your finger with your own saliva, you can smooth out. It won't stick to your skin. So you can smooth out that bead. Make it nice and smooth. See? That's not... I can do a better job, but I need 2 hands to do it versus that. So I'm going to smooth that out, and then I'm going to run a bead on the inside, and then we'll continue once I get that done. Okay, so this is what we've done, and forgive me for the lighting. I'm kind of doing this off the cuff. I was going to wait till morning, but if you look, I have those gaps siliconed. Now this is important. See this area here? The little rectangular area? I can't even point to it. Okay. That is a little dip in the lid of the bucket. Not all these buckets have them. But this particular lid has that, and it aids in pulling the lid off. You need to silicone that up. You have to make a little dam. See how I did that? I made a dam. That is going to be your trough. That is where the bees are going to feed. Okay. So what I've done, look at my little poker here. It's a little dental tool. I silicone the inside here too. All of these got a little bit of silicone in there. And let me get that off of there. What you want to do is you want to make sure that you put the silicone even with the plastic here on both sides so it doesn't interfere with the seal. That one's probably not the best there, but... And the way I did that is I take a spoon or a fork, I take the handle, and yes, I stick that in my mouth, I cover it with saliva, and then I go in there and I smooth it out. That is, you do not, the reason I do that with, I know it sounds crazy, but wet silicone will not stick to your fingers if you use saliva on your fingers. You have to literally lick your fingers when you do it. It's like I said, back in the day when I had lots and lots of fish and I used to make my own fish tanks, I learned how to smooth out the silicone between the glass by licking my fingers. And there you go. So what'll happen is you will put the lid on. It'll dry in about 24 hours. And then we'll put the lid on. Now, if you get one of these food buckets, wash them out. Soap and water and a sponge. And this thing smells like a soy sauce. And when you drill the holes, sometimes you got a little burr from the plastic. Get those off of there. Those will interfere with the fluid coming out. So it's actually very simple to do. You take a razor blade and you just scrape off the extra so you can see the holes versus being up here. So when they draw the bucket, when they draw the fluid out of the bucket, they draw it all the way to the bottom. Now I hope that makes sense. It's all in the lid. And once again, these ridges here make the difference in the strength of the lid. This lid will not tear versus this lid here. So this lid tears easier. So look for something that's got reinforced lids like this. And this is obviously food grade because they had food in it. So, and you can actually, this stuff will dries at a touch actually relatively quickly. But I wait to do it overnight. Oh, I got to repair this one here. Darn it. Anyway, I'm going to finish up on this, but that's basically how I did it. That's how you improve a bucket feeder for bees. And then we'll give this a try tomorrow morning, see how it works out.